Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Lindsay and I'm from Social B, and I'm going to be chairing this afternoon's webinar. Welcome to the second webinar on a series of 3 from Visual Marketing Series that the DMA is bringing you in conjunction with visual marketing expert, Olipic. Before we start the great webinar this afternoon, just want to cover some housekeeping. If you lose sound from the speakers today, please write in the group message box at the bottom and one of my colleagues will notify Becky or myself to adjust our microphone. If you have any questions, please write them in the questions box at the end and I'll pose them to Becky at the end of the session. But don't think you have to wait until the end of the session to pose your questions. Feel free to write them in the box and I'll then pose them at the end. We will be sending out a recording within the next few days alongside the quiz related to this session, which you'll find out a bit later. But before we start, let's just look at today's topics that we'll be focusing on. Becky's got some great slides that I've had a sneak preview of this afternoon, and she's going to be helping you take away video and photo advertising, the differences and benefits with Facebook, Atlas, Instagram, Twitter, and bloggers. She'll also share with us how to identify the highest converting visual content, some A/B testing on social, which looks really exciting, some user experience from ads to purchase, and also some super case studies on some ad campaigns. In addition, Becky's also got a case study that she's going to share with us this afternoon. This and the rest of the series should be taken as training sessions, and this will take you through every step of the way from obtaining some more effective visual content to harnessing that content to drive more engagement and e-commerce conversions. But don't worry if you missed the first webinar on driving earned content, as each webinar is focused on an independent topic, and you can still listen to the first webinar's recording. Throughout this series, you will also listen to several examples of companies that have leveraged visual marketing very successfully, as well as tips to be avoided. And after each one of these great webinars, you will receive a recording with a link to a short quiz that will test to see how much you thought you learned during the session for your own reference. And if you attend all 3 webinars, all of you that complete the quiz successfully, which is over 60% of correct answers, you'll receive a post-certificate of completion of the visual marketing series, and that will allow you to showcase the knowledge that you have learned from these sessions on integrating visual marketing the most effective way within your strategy. So also do stay tuned throughout the webinar, as we've got a giveaway towards the end as well. But you can also interact with us on Twitter. The hashtag for the series today is #visual series, so feel free to use that hashtag with bits and pieces you're learning from today's session. So just to give you a bit of background on Olipic, they provide a marketing technology that offers the engine to enable brands to collect, curate, obtain the rights to publish and analyze the success of user-generated content across their e-commerce sites and brand communications. And as part of their client base, you will identify with some of the brands that they've been pioneering in visual marketing over the last few years, including Calvin Klein, Unilever, L'Oreal, Coach, plus many others that you'll see. They currently have over 140 employees, and Olipic has offices in New York, LA, Cordoba, London, and since their recent announcements of acquisition of Picora, they've also now got an office in San Francisco. But today we're from lovely London, and that's where their London-based Director of Account Management, Becky, who's going to be walking us through today's session, will be joining us. And Becky has 13 years of experience in client services, being well-versed in providing strategy and thought leadership to leading brands and retailers on the benefits of becoming a customer-centric organisation, supported by innovative marketing and e-commerce strategies. So with no further ado, I'd like to pass you over to Becky.
Great. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for the introduction, and thanks again for joining this webinar today. And if you're here for the second time, I hope you find it as valuable as the first. Before we get started on today's topic, and as a bit of a reminder, I wanted to quickly review what we discussed last month in the first webinar of the series on driving visual earned content. We verified that marketers are challenged with creating quality content and with a frequency that enables them to cope with the demands of their consumers who are eager to interact with the brands that they love on multiple channels through fresh and interactive content. We then talked about how earned content, so that's content that's organically being created by consumers and fans on behalf of a brand, can help eliminate these challenges. Brands who leverage earned content can implement it as part of their general communication and e-commerce strategy, including on their website, social commerce, ads, in offline advertising, at point of sale, and across multiple channels. But brands must first understand how to encourage their networks to publish more content on their behalf. This can be done with the support of a specific campaign that promotes a brand hashtag that users should utilise when publishing more content. We discussed the do's and don'ts of creating a perfect hashtag, and I took you through how you can promote this across your channels and inspire consumers and existing ambassadors to publish quality content. And finally, we took you through the steps that need to be taken to curate, obtain the rights and organise the earned content to the benefit of your brand communications. The recording of that webinar is available online, and for those of you who missed it, we'll be sending out again after this webinar. So today we'll be discussing how brands can leverage this rights-approved earned content to convert bystanders into buyers, as well as sharing how best to identify content that will drive higher conversions. I'm actually going to start with a cheeky product plug straight off the bat. I promise there won't be any more after this, but it is for a good reason. It's important for you to know that there is technology out there that can identify your best quality and potentially top performing content for you. Olapic's PhotoRanked uses a predictive engine to analyse photos based on more than 45 different visual and contextual factors. It ranks them by their expected conversion power and surfaces them in an accessible format to be plugged directly into different marketing and media channels. But Olapic is of course not the only way you can do this analysis, and you can certainly use the more traditional tried and tested methods, mainly based on experience and A/B testing, which I'll be talking about a little later on. So let's look at how brands can start integrating earned content into the pointy end of the user journey, so the point of purchase. Brands need to create a seamless link between their earned content strategies and conversion. But while earned content serves a critical purpose at the end of the buyer's journey, when deployed correctly, it can also move buyers through every stage of their journey across a multitude of channels. When a buyer has multiple opportunities to see how a product has served others in real-life scenarios, they're actually more likely to be able to envision it for themselves. And linking that dream to the immediate opportunity to purchase a product can create significant ROI. And the proof is in the numbers. Olapic clients who link products on their website to user-generated content are seeing conversion increases in some cases by 50%. So that's fairly significant. But it's not just about conversions and the immediate purchase opportunities that might be clearly understood for online retailers. Travel, consumer goods, financial services and automotive have the opportunity to turn passive visitors into active buyers by connecting user-generated content or earned content to the right experience. So I wanted to have a little look at an example from the travel sector. We all know that a lot of research goes into booking a holiday with potential travellers needing a great deal of content to appeal to them during each stage of the journey, from awareness to consideration and all the way through to booking. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to one thing. When given the opportunity to see a hotel stock photo of models on a beach or the chef's latest creation at the five-star restaurant on the property, versus a real traveller enjoying their time splashing around the pool or eating the fresh catch of the day, it's the latter that tends to be more powerful in influencing a travel booking decision. Travel and hospitality marketing expert Frederick Gonzalo underlined this when he announced his predicted trends for online marketing travel for 2016. Paid and earned media will become pivotal to a successful digital marketing approach, in particular using other people's content, which is often considered more trustworthy than traditional advertising or editorial content. And when those travellers' photos are linked to an immediate booking opportunity, and the consumer has seen enough real-life examples to be convinced the loop has effectively been closed, then imagine if you gave a reason to your newest guest to take their photos and hashtag them, Now you've activated a new advocate to help convince future travellers to visit your property. This is obviously of considerable value, since loyalty is critical in the world of travel and hospitality. Hyatt is a really great example here of how a renowned hotel brand can optimise marketing by relying on guest-generated photos. They used #InnerHyattWorld, and by using this, the brand worked with Olympic initially on a test of 9 property galleries to collect visual content before expanding to include more than 575 Hyatt hotels and resorts worldwide. We've actually since worked together to launch social.hyatt.com. This is a hub of traveller photos that showcases guest experiences while staying at any of the brand properties. These can then be filtered by country or hotel services, so whether they offer spas or water sports, etc., or even specific properties, like in this example here with the Hyatt Regency Waikiki Beach Resort. It showcases in this example where the customer photos appear right next to the reservation search button. So it's obviously connecting, as you do in retail, user-generated content to the point of purchase. The fast-moving consumer goods industry has an interesting proposition when it comes to earned content strategies. The majority of FMCG brands sell through retailers, so don't control the point of purchase themselves, which means they're fairly beholden to a certain extent to the marketing strategies of the retailer. But the retailers know that they need to rely on their brands or merchants for content if they're going to effectively sell the product. The more content they can get from the brand partners, the more successful they'll be in converting buyers. This is where syndicated earned content comes in. We already know that earned content converts faster and more effectively than branded photos. So when an FMCG brand invests in earned content strategies and syndicates this content directly to the retailer site, they're creating that immediate conversion opportunity. An example comes from a Unilever brand, Simple Skincare. They published earned content on their brand and retail partners' websites. Simple Skincare has seen significant increase in traffic driven to retailer sites through their retail channels while being able to maintain complete control of their brand DNA. A quote here from Doug Stratton, who's the head of the e-commerce centre of excellence at Unilever. He said, "Consumers trust current users of a product more than something a brand may put forward. By syndicating our UGC content with major retailers, Olympic helps us to get more consumers exposed to that trusted content." And then, specifically for other industries such as financial services, where you wouldn't necessarily think that it's quite as easy a direct match, it's actually similar to travel in that marketers are challenged to sell a dream within the financial services industry. But with the right strategies to entice your past buyers to create user-generated content representing how they've realised their dreams by working with your brand, you can create a truly engaging story through the eyes of real people. Just take a look at this example from HSBC, Mr. Client who arrived at his new house and saw a hamper of products for his new home sent by HSBC. This small gesture really touched him, and he published his photo directly on Twitter. I don't know about you, but if I was on the hunt for a mortgage and HSBC had similar rates to other banks, I'd be tempted to go with them after reading this. The personal touch to me is incredibly important. No matter how small you think the gesture is, it certainly sticks with you. With financial services, the dots need to be connected a bit more as they're selling against a much bigger life decision. But UGC can be a really effective piece of the marketing puzzle for these brands as consumers look for the best fit for their needs. One of the most effective ways to drive conversion from content marketing is through social advertising, where brands can extend their reach to a much wider audience. So I'd like to take you through how brands can also leverage earned content to enhance their social advertising return on investment. Let's start with Facebook. Facebook can support different types of ads that can reach either custom audiences or lookalike audiences. I imagine that most of you are already comfortable with both of these terms, but for those of you who aren't, custom audiences help you target your existing customers using a contact list that you upload, your website traffic or activity in your app. but lookalike audiences will let you target people who share interests or have similar demographics to your best customers. So two very different audiences. You can target either of these types of audiences with Facebook ads, and the most effective type of ads for visual content promotion are page post ads and marketplace ads. I'm sorry if this is back to basics for some of you, but it's integral to this strategy for you to really understand how this all works in the back end. So page post ads can include photos or videos that you initially post on your brand's page that, by boosting with an ad, will get additional distribution to your chosen audience. So these are great for driving engagement back to the brand's Facebook page and encouraging people to comment or like the post. Page post ads aren't typically used with the direct intention of driving sales, but more for increasing brand engagement. So in this example, at the top here, Split 59 do a great job of actually using Facebook ads to encourage fans to post more brand-related UGC. It's a fantastic way to drive earned content. You can make your page post ads stand out more by adding carousel images rather than static. Carousel images are obviously more capturing to the eye, and it's a really great way for you to showcase multiple images that you've collected in one ad. And then marketplace ads are featured on the right-hand side of your Facebook's desktop version, so desktop only, and include a headline, a description, and a photo. These are the only type of Facebook ads that are eligible for the Facebook Exchange retargeting, and that means that you can retarget web page visitors on Facebook with these types of ads. I'd advise you to include a specific call to action directing the consumer to your brand's Facebook page, or if you really want this to be a conversion piece, then directly to a landing page on your website. So let's talk about Instagram. Instagram ad campaigns can be managed through your existing Facebook ads account with virtually all of the same targeting capabilities, including native Facebook targeting, so that's kind of location and demographic information, partner categories, custom audiences, lookalike audiences, and even flexible targeting. I would say there are three things you should take into consideration when creating Instagram ads. Make sure you're on brand. So ensure that any of your photos being used for an Instagram ad has a visible branding element to ensure a customer can recall it was your brand ad and not someone else's. Also make sure it's consistent and in line with the tone of your brand's regular Instagram posts. So we want this to be as familiar as possible for the consumer who sees it, and make sure it's not intrusive. Ensure they are concept driven. So the best performing Instagram ads, just like the best performing Instagram posts, will tell a visual story and enable users to see the world in a new way. The photo and the caption, as well as the call to action, should work together to say that this is our brand, this is what our brand is about, so come and join us. And make sure they're well crafted. Instagram's intimate mobile first experience means that every single pixel counts. So photographic composition, including techniques like focal point, the rule of thirds and lighting, matter so much more than ever before. So just bear that in mind. And then finally, I guess it's point 4, worth noting, that you can also select carousel ads within Instagram as you can with Facebook. So carousel ads will be, again, more catching to the eye and enable you to have more images per ad. As a note, an excellent way to help your Instagram ads drive purchases would be to connect your ads with your shoppable Instagram gallery. This is where you'll make a direct link from the product feature in a photo to your e-commerce product page. I'll be telling you a bit more about that actually, and the shoppable Instagram offering and capabilities in our third webinar of the series. So on to Twitter. Using Twitter ads is an easy way to get your tweets in front of larger audiences than just those who follow you. So this is particularly useful if you're looking to generate more sales or more followers. From a visual content perspective, promoted tweets for business are ideal. Promoted tweets allow your tweets to appear in users' Twitter streams or in Twitter search results. They can be crafted to contain your own brand message and can contain links to your landing page where these Twitter users can then convert on your offers and become buyers. In terms of targeting, you can target your campaigns by interests and followers or by keywords. Similar to Facebook, Twitter has a tailored audience feature, which gives you the option to target your website visitors or a list pulled from your database. Also on Twitter, I would suggest you leverage the power of user-generated photos and videos, of course, in your tweets to make them more appealing and to increase engagement and click-through rates. And then finally on this piece, one of the challenges that brands can sometimes face when advertising is tracking accurate results across devices, particularly on mobile, as cookies can't perform in mobile apps. So this is why I just wanted to quickly make a reference to Atlas. Atlas is a Facebook-owned ad server that allows ad buyers to measure, target and optimize digital and mobile ads across platforms, and not just on Facebook. Taking measurement beyond the cookie means marketers can focus on metrics beyond the last click and observe the multi-device process that often leads in purchase online or offline. The way Atlas does this, without being too technical, because I'm not that technical, is by matching device ID data with the anonymized identity data of the user that accesses Facebook on the same device. Again, this is going to help brands prove the value of content used in their ads. This could be another interesting way for you specifically to explore your ad success. So before we move on to talk a bit about how we test the best performing ads, I'd like to pass back to Lindsay for a quick poll.
So thank you, Becky, some great insights so far, but we're going to do a quick poll and just ask you for a bit of interaction on A/B testing. So in front of you now, you should be able to vote on, do you A/B test most of your ads on social media? You have three options: yes, no, or we haven't created any social ads yet. And if you'd like to vote, we'll give you a couple of seconds just to place your vote, and then we'll look at the results. So vote away. So some interesting results. Thank you all for voting. 50% of you are doing A/B testing, which is great. 18% of you haven't dabbled in A/B testing yet, and 32% haven't created any social ads. So some interesting results there, Becky.
That is interesting and quite useful for I guess for this scenario, because for those of you that haven't created any ads yet, I'm hoping this is going to be particularly useful for you. For those of you that have run A/B testing, I'm about to talk you through a tried and tested A/B testing kind of process, but this is something that we would advise our clients to follow. I'd be really interested if any of you feel inclined to share your best practices around A/B testing, perhaps in the chat window, and we can have a look at those results. I'd like to see kind of how you would approach your testing. But from my point of view, whichever channel you use, A/B testing can obviously help you understand what makes your ads perform better. But I would advise you to test in stages to cover all bases. So, for example, if you plan to do, let's just say, a 1-month campaign promotion, I'd suggest you follow a 3-stage process. First, start by creating ads that test the best performing images. So use the same text but test the performance of both branded and user-generated images. After a few days, you should have enough data to analyse the results and identify your top performing images. So your second test should showcase that top performing image or images, depending on how many ads you're running, and then test the original text against perhaps a different version. So you're using the same image throughout different versions of text, and again, you should be able to analyse those results after a few days. You should, by the end of this, have your top performing asset. So you'll have the ad that should be performing the best for you, which you can then test to see which type of audience responds best from an advertisement perspective. So, for example, you could target precise interest audiences with specific themes. So select a specific brand interest that would reach users who liked the brand page or posted about the brand or joined a group related to the brand. This is how you can reach a more granular audience. But also entering a hashtag before the interest name will broaden reach further and target users with closely related interests. You can either test between the different types of interest audiences, or you could test between the interest audience, and a broad category audience. So channels like Facebook will allow you to target predefined categories. So for example, if a user likes Expedia, Kayak, and Orbitz, they may live in the travel category. So broad categories will give you a large reach, but may drive a more expensive cost per click, as they're definitely more competitive to target. There'll be lots of people targeting them. So try this test out and see what works the best, and then let the most successful ads run for the rest of the campaign. It's worth noting with all of this huge caveat that it's obviously time to significance in any test can vary depending on the number of followers you have, your brand engagement, your brand reach. So you know, it really does depend on how present you are in the social sphere already. But it's a good kind of rule of thumb to break it down into thirds. So I want to quickly share a case study with you of a brand who partnered with Olympic to build user-generated ads for Facebook. If you live or work in London, you may have been aware of the Magnum Pleasure store that popped up in Covent Garden in the summer. I was lucky enough to work around the corner at the time, and so genuinely ate my body weight in ice cream for about 2 weeks. Not so great for me, but really great for Magnum. The store generated a huge amount of user-generated content on Instagram. You could go there, you could create your own ideal ice cream topping. Honestly, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And obviously it's very inspirational, and it's something you definitely want to share on social networks. And so the sheer volume of content that was coming through was amazing. And so Magnum UK utilised the Olympic technology to surface this content on their microsite, which in turn encouraged more people to visit and contribute more content. So it was a nice kind of virtuous cycle. Magnum earned over 7,000 high-quality UGC images in just 60 days from running this campaign, which was wonderful. So they had a lot of content, and that kind of posed the opportunity for them to test the performance of user-generated Facebook ads versus their own brand creative. And as you can see from this slide, you can certainly see the differences in the creative from a UGC perspective and a brand perspective. These are the real images that they used. And in every instance, I'm happy to report that UGC outperformed brand creative across the board. The top performing piece of content achieved a click-through rate 10 times the Unilever average, which is really significant. UGC, on average, UGC drove click-through rates of over 50% that of the brand creative. And something that's actually quite important to note, that's actually not written on this slide, is that all of the top performing UGC ads actually followed Facebook's own creative guidelines better than the brand creative did. I know there's always a bit of nervousness about user-generated content, perhaps not being as precise and as well structured and as beautifully created as something that a brand can create. But I think you'll find, and you can see here, that the content is of equal and occasionally of better quality. So regardless of where your consumers are coming from, whether that be a social ad or a blog post or a search engine, using attractive earned content, you can create a seamless user experience that will convert your bystanders into buyers, which is the point of the topic today. So on your site, always start by adding a widget that contains your earned content, your user-generated content, to your homepage. I want to walk through a really nice user experience that one of our clients presents to their customers. And this is a Swedish fashion brand called Monkey. They're part of the H&M group. They placed a full width widget across the centre of their homepage with the title, "Show the world your #monkey style." And very, very clear call to action to get people engaged. But they didn't stop there. You can also see the hashtag promoted in their top navigation bar and across the site and the site footer. And actually, if you were to look at their site today, you'll even see their hashtag highlighted in their homepage hero. It's a scrolling hero, so just click through and you'll see it. When the user clicks on the UGC image highlighted top left, she is presented with a light box containing a larger version of the same image, which also references the contributor's user handle. So we're referencing the person that contributed the content in the first place. Again, it showcases that they're really focusing on their consumers. It's a customer-centric organisation, and also it would mean that anybody contributing content would know that they would be highlighted on the website, which is always a nice thing. The lightbox also contains, as you can see, the stock image and the name of the product featured, and a Shop This button, which, when clicked on, takes her through to the relevant product page. So here again, she will find some additional earned content just below the product image in a carousel, where she'll be able to see photos of other consumers wearing the same product. It's a great way for her to get inspirational styling ideas, in this instance for this specific tunic. By providing their consumers with alternate product images and styling ideas, Monkey is effectively enabling the consumer to make a more considered purchase decision. And I suspect they'll also find that this is a positive impact on their returns rates as well. If people are making more considered purchases, they're obviously less likely to return the product. And if further research is required by our customer as she's going through her journey, I certainly know that one item for me isn't enough. She can click on the hashtag monkey style button that's visible on the top nav. And this will direct her to the full gallery of consumer-generated content, where she can scroll down for additional inspiration on the right types of outfits for her. I think you can probably see where this is headed. It's effectively, again, I think I've used this word before, but it's a virtuous cycle. When she clicks on an image that catches her eye, she's then taken back to the lightbox, which directs her to the appropriate product page. So she's always able to make her way through her journey with a constant kind of shadow of user-generated content. So it will constantly follow her. She can always get inspiration. And if she doesn't like what she sees on one page, she can go to another and find more earned content images. So this really makes a consistent user experience where engaging user-generated content is present throughout the purchase path. To encourage sales and help buyers make more confident purchase decisions. And as I said, confident purchase decisions can really help with your returns rate. So I wanted to share a case study with you, a couple of case studies with you actually, on some of our clients that have really done a great job of integrating user-generated content into their UX experience on their website, and where it's really had an impact on customer engagement as well as on impact on revenue for them. For those of you who don't know Wool and the Gang, they provide, in fact, they're still around, a unique knitted fashion experience that offers consumers the opportunity to buy knitting and crochet sets that contain everything needed to make your own piece of clothing, or you can actually buy finished products that have been handcrafted by what they call their gang members in their homes. Anyone from anywhere in the world can subscribe to be part of the gang and start knitting for the brand. Wool and the Gang needed to easily identify everyone in their network of knitters to celebrate their success and engage their community. And they also wanted to improve e-commerce conversions by adding visual content to show how the finished knitwear would look. So they started collecting user-generated content through hashtags. The hashtags were hashtag share your knit and hashtag made unique. And using Olympics PhotoRanked, I think that was a product plug again, sorry, technology, they were able to automate the process of selecting the best photos to publish in the gallery of their website. Olympic also integrated with their product feed to add UGC to product detail pages, as you saw with Monkey as well. So Wool and the Gang are now collecting over 3,000 pieces of user-generated content per month. And that includes both photos and videos. And this is 67% more than before they began working with Olympic. And the number of visitor interactions with the user-generated content photos on product detail pages has increased by 6 times the amount since launch, leading to an average order value that is 24% higher for visitors who interacted with UGC. So some significant results there for Wool and the Gang, who have a very unique proposition and have found a unique way to integrate UGC into their journey. And then I wanted to just talk a little bit about Dog-Eared, who is a global accessory brand. They were looking to engage their loyal community and leverage the thousands of photos shared on social media to help consumers understand how real girls are wearing their jewellery. So not how their models are showing the jewellery, but how they're really used in real life. And wanted to give these real girls the opportunity to shop the photos directly. Having this authentic photography as part of the shopping experience helped increase the average order value by 22%. And led to a 24% higher conversion rate when people interacted with the user-generated content on the product page. And those people interacting with UGC have represented a full 10% of their total sales, which is amazing. So this really shows how adding photography that inspires people and enables them to feel more connected to a brand can significantly help turn those bystanders into buyers. And that really takes us kind of full circle, and that's where I'll end and hand back to Lindsay. So thank you all again for listening. And I'll pass back to Lindsay.
Thank you, Becky. That was great. Lots and lots of insight. Thank you. Now's your chance to ask a question if you haven't asked it already. On your screen, you can tap away questions. But I'm going to ask a question first. But before I do that, we've got a little bit of a giveaway for you. Simply tweet your top takeaway from today's webinar with the hashtag visual series. And I can see some of you have been tweeting already, which is great. And Olympic will select a random tweet, and you can win yourself a very nice selfie stick and a few other goodies. So you could be one of those people with your user-generated content in your Magnum this summer with that selfie stick. So tweet away with that visual series hashtag and ask some questions. So I'll have a look at your questions in a second, but Becky, I've got a couple of questions first, if I may. Would you advise marketplace ads to link straight to the product page or to a page within Facebook where the products indicated in the marketplace ad are featured?
So that's a really good question, and I think the answer is it's really dependent on what you're trying to achieve. So if your goal is to make a sale, if you really want to just direct people straight through to the point of purchase, and there's some kind of coupon code or an offer directly in your advertisement, then yes, I think you should definitely link through to the product page. But if you're trying to increase your brand engagement by perhaps running a contest on your Facebook page, or perhaps by increasing your followers, I would say that you should link them through to the relevant social page. I guess the real answer is the ad content should reflect your goal. So whatever you're trying to advertise, that's really, it should indicate where you should be linking people through to. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. You mentioned at the start that Olympic has an algorithm that can automatically pull user-generated content that is highly converting by looking at lots of different factors. Can you explain how some of those factors are, please?
Yeah, I can. There's lots of them. I had a feeling someone was going to ask me that question. So I'll keep it brief. Some of them are quite technical, as most algorithms are, but there really are some standout things that we look at. One is the colour of the image. So the predominant colour in the image really does dictate how people will interact with it. So interestingly enough, yellow is a top performer. So if you have yellow in an image, it's more likely to get a higher click-through rate. If there's multiple faces in an image versus one face, you might find that has a higher click-through rate. We look at content to see whether it has animals in it, what people's facial expressions are like, all the way through to the tone of the image. So if people have used specific Instagram filters, we can really kind of predict which ones are going to perform better than others. So there's lots that goes on in the algorithm, but it certainly does kind of look at all of those factors and then kind of give them a weighted response, and then kind of raises the top performer to the top of the list.
Okay, that's interesting. So in summary, you're basically saying yellow is a good colour to use or encourage. Obviously, you can't encourage user-generated content, but yellow is a good colour to use. Try and encourage people to share pictures with more than one person in it, and think about filters at the end, which we all love playing with filters on Instagram as an example, don't we? When we're taking pictures.
That's exactly it. Yep. Good summary.
Perfect. First of the questions coming in from the guys that are listening in today. Do you need, and this is an interesting question because I sit on the Social Media Council and we were talking about the legal implications of user-generated content yesterday, so we'll ask this question, which is really interesting. Do you need permission to use user-generated content in paid ads?
Yeah, yes, you absolutely do, and you should seek that permission directly from the contributor. So we, within Olopic, have the ability in our system to ask for rights for the image, and that would post a request for rights directly below the image on whether it be Instagram or any other social network, providing them with a rights approval hashtag. So once they hashtag with that, we will then pick it up and we'll know that it's been approved. So it links through to terms and conditions. It's a fairly concise message, something like, we love your image, we'd love to use it in our marketing, please respond with a hashtag yes brand name, and we'll go ahead and use it. So, you know, we find that most consumers or contributors are really happy to share the rights. They feel actually quite, I guess, quite important when a brand reaches out to them directly to share their content. So, you know, but from a legal perspective, which I think is your question, we absolutely definitely would need to ask for rights to be able to use that content outside of the realms of your website, which includes ads and any kind of offline marketing.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. Another question from people dialing in today. We currently sell more through partner sites than our own website, and you mentioned that consumer brands do the same. How do you suggest we pass those partner sites and own content we collect?
So I think there's a couple of things here. You know, if you're a brand and you don't sell directly, you can still make very good use, as we've talked about with FMCG, etc. Make good use of your user-generated content in your own marketing strategies, but also we would definitely recommend that you share that content that you're collecting directly with any partners, or whether it be that you're selling your product through a retailer. We would definitely recommend that you share that content, whether it be you know, using someone like our technology, product plug again, sorry, but syndicating the content in an automated fashion, which we certainly do, and we can plug into any kind of platform to do that. Or whether you just want to manually extract the images and send them over. It's a great way for consumers to see your content at, like I said, that point of purchase at the end of the retail funnel. So share it, but use it is my message. Definitely get it into every marketing channel that you can. Yeah,
perfect. Just going back to the A/B stuff that we covered earlier, how long would you test an A/B ad for?
Oh, it's really hard to say. Like I said, I think I might have mentioned a little bit earlier on. You know, we've had clients that would test an ad for maybe a week, and it does produce results, but you have to have a fairly significant following already, or a fairly decent engaged target audience. And I think you'll only really know that once you start. So using, you know, a good A/B testing solution, you should start to see very quickly how many people are engaging, and it should predict for you how long it will take for you to achieve any kind of significant results. But I would say, and you know, a lot of people would like to run an ad for up to a month, and you should be able to get results for that ad within the first week or so.
Yeah. And I just from the just touching on the success point of view of what success looks like, I guess they should just bear in mind what that success might look like if it's, you know, engagement or, you know, actually selling stuff or visits to the website, and look at that funnel of success. Exactly.
You're going to have very different KPIs dependent on what you're really trying to achieve from your ads program. And I would definitely encourage people that perhaps don't have a big presence on social media but want to kind of step into the world to really use advertising to drive that engagement. So don't think about direct correlation with purchase yet. Start thinking about how you can drive brand awareness. Once you've built that, then you can start to sell to that target audience. But until then, you know, you're going to find that you'll have, you know, very poor results if you're really just trying to get people to convert. So definitely look at you know, having a real social strategy first on how to build an audience before you go ahead and sell to them.
Perfect. Excellent. We've got a couple more questions. come in just while we were answering that one. Can you tell us about the benefits of using carousel ads?
Yeah, I think carousel ads are just more engaging. Anything that moves on the page is more engaging. It distracts you from whatever you're doing and draws your eye to it. And I think a very nice static image can do that very well, but a carousel image it certainly captures your eye a lot quicker. Equally, it means you can have multiple images displayed and therefore perhaps a bit of a story. So either multiple images of one product, or you want to sell multiple products, you want to share kind of multiple experiences, so lifestyle images within one ad campaign, or you can tell a story. If you're a travel brand, for example, you may want to tell a story of this is when somebody arrived at our hotel, this is when somebody's swimming in the pool, this is when somebody's eating, this is what their bedroom looks like. Just a very nice way of seeing a full experience in one advertisement.
Yeah, excellent. I can see lots of you tweeting the hashtag visual series, so don't forget to use that hashtag and give your key takeaway of what you've done today. One more question. You briefly mentioned ways in which financial service organisations can help users to achieve their dreams. What other great examples have you seen from these types of organisations, and what tips would you give to best promote your services via social media? Quite a detailed question there from somebody. Thank you.
It is. It is. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I have to think about that one for a minute. So if we're talking about financial services specifically, it is a tough one. Like I said, this is a huge investment for anybody. It tends to be something very serious, whether it be this is your first house purchase, or you're remortgaging, or many things. But I would say that it's all about showcasing the personal touches. The example that I showed you earlier was just a nice little hamper, and in fact I actually received that from my mortgage provider when I bought my house, and it honestly made such a difference. But I think it's just about showcasing what can be expected from your experience. So I think, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody on the phone if you work within the financial services industry, but there's a huge assumption that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult process to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Because it's a fairly large organisation, it may not be a very personal experience, and so anything that you can do to showcase any kind of personal touches that you have had with your consumer is the best approach. And I would say I would take you all the way back to the first webinar that we talked about, and how we talked about driving that visual content. You would dictate your strategy to try and get the type of content you're looking for. So ask your customers about what they've loved about their experience with you. Ask them to showcase the day they moved into their house. Ask them to showcase the new car that they bought, or bringing the baby home for the first, whatever it might be that they've had to invest from a financial perspective in, that they've had help with. Ask them to share that experience rather than what you might find on Twitter with a lot of customer service complaints. If they start to contribute that content, it will encourage other people to share as well, and you'll start to build a nice brand story. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. Okay, so a great set of questions, and I can see you all tweeting away on the visual hashtag series. If you have any more questions, feel free to use the hashtag on Twitter. But we are running out of time, so as I've said, use the hashtag visual series, and Olapic will get back to you. We will be sending out a recording over the next few days alongside the quiz related with this session. And don't forget, if you attend all the sessions and then complete all 3 quizzes successfully, you will get a certificate of completion. And the quizzes are literally short with only 10 questions, and will just help you verify your knowledge. So I really urge you to complete them. Also, once you disconnect from this webinar, you'll also get a feedback form. And if you can, just take 10 seconds to complete that. That will be fantastic. And if you've enjoyed the first 2 webinars, the next webinar with Olapic is on the 11th of May between 3 and 4 p.m. You can book it on the DMA website. If you go to dma.org.uk and then click on webinars, and then click up and coming webinars and scroll down to the 11th of May, you'll see it there. But thank you so much for attending this afternoon. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.